It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the UC Cumberland's head archery coach, Coach Kris Strebeck. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching and collegiate archery?
Well, it kind of wasn't something that I'd ever thought I would do. My background is football. I played football all the way through college. I actually had the privilege of playing here at Cumberland. And then I actually coached football for a year. Got out of it, went into the healthcare field for a little while, came back to the University of the Cumberlands, started out as their intramural director. And it was kind of funny about the time that I was doing that. A lady, Dr. Cindy Norton, who was one of my instructors in the health, exercise, and sports science department, asked me if I wanted to teach an archery class. And this was probably back around 2004. And I said, don't really know a whole lot about it. And at the time, there was a program called the National Archery in the Schools program. Right now, it's one of the largest programs. It's all over the country, all over the United States. It's in the school system. And what was going on was the physical education teachers that were coming through the university were going and doing their student teaching and not able to coach archery at the school system. And so I went and got my certification and started teaching classes at Cumberland. It was the basic archery instructors course. And I did that for about a year. And then a lady called me and said, hey, do you want to be the regional coordinator for the state of Kentucky? I said, sure, why not? So I started training all the teachers in Kentucky and started hosting NAS tournaments on campus. And we were getting, 700 kids from 12th grade all the way down to 4th grade. And then I started hearing about college archery. I started hearing about a program called the United States Collegiate Archery Association. Well, I started looking into it, and our school, University of Cumberland, has always been outside the box. We have numerous sports that you don't see everywhere. And at the time, we had men's and women's wrestling, and we had men's and women's swimming and diving. And I said, man, this is an opportunity. So I started investigating and started working through some levels of coaching. And I presented it to our AD at the time. And they said, sure, let's get on board with this. And so I spent the next year just recruiting and brought in a team. So didn't really ever go back and say this is what I wanted to do. But it kind of, I knew I've always wanted to coach. I've coached Little League and I've coached college football. And I knew that's something I loved to do. But if I went back and told you that I was going to be a college archery coach, I would have said, you're crazy.
Of course, what was your experience like getting to play collegiate football for Cumberland?
It was pretty awesome. I only got to play here 2 years. I played in a junior college down in Mississippi back home. I played there my first 2 years of college, and then I came up here and I was able to came 10 hours away from home, 600 miles, and got to play college football, sport that I've loved all my life. Had a traumatic injury my junior year that knocked me out for most of the year, and was able to come back my senior year. Loved it a lot, and then I was able to coach as a graduate assistant for a year. But just awesome. Sports in general, I love them. The cool thing about archery, and you've heard this and you see this, and you don't have to have. It's not the 350 pound 6'8" offensive lineman or the 7'2" post player. I mean, you have you have kids with all different skill sets, men, women. We have para in the Olympics with archery. We have archery in the Olympics, and everybody can do it, and that's something that's awesome.
What was that transition like for you from going from coaching college football to getting into coaching archery?
One of my first classes says that I had a lot to learn because everything I'd done had been evolved around football. So I treated archery a little bit the same, and because that's what I knew. So I've evolved a little bit. I'm able to, I coach men and women at the same time, so that's something that you don't have to do in other sports. And I've had to evolve, change. Back as a former college football player, it was Golden Corral after the game or before the game, or Ryan Steakhouse. So the first trip I took my archery team on, I think we ate at Golden Corral every day for 3 days, just because that's just what I did. So definitely evolved, changed some things up, and it's just a different type of athlete that I deal with on a daily basis.
Of course, how was it like in getting involved in the World University Championship?
That was pretty awesome. Back in 2014, I had an opportunity to go to Poland for the World University Games. First experience internationally, first time I'd ever been out of the country. Just took a wild hair. It was unbelievable. We came away with some medals. I think the women's compound team got bronze, and we had an individual that got silver. Just an awesome experience. And at the time, there was a world championship every other year, and then there was a championship. The World University Games happened on the other year, and then got an opportunity in 2015 to go to Korea, coach the World University Games. Just an unbelievable experience. Never had the opportunity to go to the Olympics, but if I can imagine, the World University Games was just like it. We walked into a stadium with 65,000 people in the stands for the opening ceremonies. Korea's been very dominant in archery. We actually competed at the time. There was some that were still in college that I remember her name was Kibo Bay, and she had just won an Olympic gold medal the previous year before the World University Games. She came back and shot in that as well too. So that was an unbelievable experience. I actually get to go do that again this year. I'll be heading out July 23rd and heading to Chengdu, China for the World University Games that were supposed to happen in 2021. They were postponed to 2022 and then postponed again to 2023. So I will be getting to head out the end of July to the 1st of August and get the opportunity to go to China and do it again.
What is that like, obviously, being a part of the Team USA archery team?
Team USA, it's totally different than college. At the university level, you're representing your school, your institution. You got that name on the back that you love. And it's my alma mater. And then now you get to put a whole different jersey on, and you're representing the United States of America. And to me, there's no greater feeling. I love watching the Olympics. I love supporting the USA. So getting to go over there and do it in another country, it's a different feeling, but it's kind of one of those unsurreal things.
What was that feeling like for you to get to coach at your alma mater of UC Cumberland to become the head coach?
Well, it's awesome because the way it rounded out was there was not a program before, and there were not many examples of really collegiate archery programs that get scholarships and things like that. So nobody had written the book on how to start a program. And, I had to take a deep dive and use some of the things that I learned in college and doing about budgets and things like that, and cost analysis and things like that. So to me, it brings a lot of pride to me because it wasn't here before I was able to help start it. and then just to be able to carry on and see how we've progressed, and the force that we've come, and remember where we came from. I mean, we didn't start out on top at the very first year. We had to earn our position, but it's been pretty awesome to see the transition, and it's really neat to see all the alumni and having kids and being a part of their lives, and seeing them over the last 11, 12 years.
Of course, for you, how does it feel to be known as the inaugural head coach for archery?
It's pretty cool because, again, like I said, I got to create it from scratch. So it's kind of like, when I tell kids when I'm recruiting them, this is where I want to be. This is where I've bled, my sweat, tears, everything is in this program. And I got to design it the way that I wanted to at the very beginning.
Of course, for my listeners that don't know, what is collegiate archery and how do you compete in collegiate archery?
Okay. In college, we actually have 4 divisions, and you compete both men and women. So you actually have 4 different styles. You have what you see in the Olympics, which is a recurve archery. You actually get to see compound archery, which is a total different bow. You get to see it at World Cups, on world stages. We also have a bare bow division, and we also have a fixed pins division, and that is shot both men and women, depending on what style you shoot. So in the fall, we shoot what we call 3D target archery. So we shoot foam animals in the woods at different distances. So every shot's different. And one round is 20 shots, 20 targets. And you do that twice. You do that on day 1 and day 2. Indoor, we do the same. We have the same divisions, and we shoot typically 60 arrows a day for score, and which comes out to be about 120 on the weekend. And then we also have things like head-to-head matches and team rounds. And then an outdoor target, we shoot 72 arrows at different distances. So our compounds, fixed pin, and bow hunter, bare bow, shoot at 50 meters, which is equivalent of 54 yards. And our recurve archers shoot at 70 meters, which is equivalent to 77 yards. So a lot of what we do comes a lot of stamina, a lot of continual motions. We have to train well, and we do this over a long period of time. So some tournaments are 2 days. Most of our national tournaments run 4 days. And a lot of times when you tie in practice at the tournaments plus the tournaments, some of the tournaments, my kids average close to 100 arrows a day shooting at a competition.
Of course, what is the difference between compound and reverse shooting that you see in the Olympics?
Compound has the recurve shooters always say that it's a bow with training wheels. So you actually you have wheels on there that help you draw it back, and when you're at full draw, you're not holding the weight. You're only holding maybe 5 or 6 pounds. So let's say I shoot a 60-pound bow and I draw it back. I'm only holding between 5 to 10, 15 pounds, depending on what it is. So you can stay there all day, and you have a release aid and things like that. On a recurve bow, you use your fingers and you're drawing back, and whatever poundage that you're drawing back is the exact poundage that you're holding the entire time. So let's take Brady Ellison, for instance, who's the USA's top Olympic archer. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he shoots between 52 to 54 pounds when it comes to outdoor. And, he's holding that poundage every time at full draw. So, and then they shoot at a further distance, bigger target, but further distance. So those are kind of some of the similar differences.
What does a typical competition day look like in the sport of archery for UC Cumberland?
So it really just depends. We'll talk about outdoor target, for instance. So usually the first day we have official practice. So we get to go out to the field. They do equipment inspection. They check all the archer's equipment, make sure that they're in specs, and follow the rules. And then we have practice day, so you can shoot as many arrows as you want. You can shoot as many or as little, but you're on the tournament field. You're on the venue. You kind of get to fill it out. The next day, we usually start out with qualification. Qualification sets you up for the rest of the weekend. So an outdoor, we'll shoot 72 arrows, which a perfect score is a 720, and doesn't matter which division you're in. You'll shoot that, and then you get seeded based on your score. And then typically they'll do team rounds the next day. So you'll have your top male and top female in the division will make a team, and we'll do team rounds, and they'll be seeded just like in the NCAA brackets, and they'll go through it. Then typically the next day, you come back and you do head-to-head elimination matches. So depending on how many people you got, most of the time it's 64 people in a division or more. You'll have a bracket based on that, and one will go against the lowest, and two, so forth, so on. And you'll go through each one of those brackets. And a match is 15 arrows, and the winner advances. And so you'll do that half the day, and you'll get to your finals, your medal finals. And then the next day, then that afternoon, you'll do team rounds. So you'll have your best 3 shooters in each division, and you'll get seated in a bracket. You'll go through, you shoot all the way through the gold medal. And then the last day is usually your gold medal finals for your team rounds, for your individuals, things like that. So it's usually we're getting to the range at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're not leaving the range till 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Of course, as a head coach, how do you keep the momentum of your athletes with a 4-day event doing such long days, like you said, 7 to 5?
So a lot of time, we train hard. We don't train that type of distance. I mean, that type of length, like a tournament, but we train 5 days a week. Typically give them off Saturday and Sunday during the season. And we try to shoot high arrow volumes and come down and things like that. And by the time we get to a tournament, they're pumped. It's a team event, but a lot of what we do is also individual. So they have a lot of pride with themselves shooting, wanting to do well. Also with the logo, they love the logo. So also with the University of Cumberland's on their back, and and wanting to start a legacy for themselves and continue on the successes that we've had in the program. So I think it talks a lot about the athletes that we have on our team and how much they care about each other, how much they care about the sport and wanting to see success. So as far as keeping them up for it, it's not really that hard as far as that goes. You have a short memory. If things don't go your way, you want to have a short memory. And like I always tell them, tournament's like a marathon, not a sprint. So you don't want to go out there and give, go try to sprint a 5K.
Of course, what does that home tournament look like when teams come to your facility versus when you go away to the tournaments?
Not a lot of difference. We've had the privilege of hosting an outdoor tournament for the last 4 years at our place, and it's nice because it is the same place we practice. But as far as the setup goes for all these tournaments, it looks the same. It's just the way the wind blows, and that doesn't matter where you go. You could have like swirling wind or constant wind or high winds, but it really doesn't matter where you go. But as far as the length of the distance from the shooting line to the target, it's the same regardless if we're in Williamsburg, Kentucky or Chula Vista, California.
Of course, who are some of the teams that you compete against during these tournaments?
So we compete against all different divisions. Like I said, locally, we actually have a lot of colleges and universities similar to what we are in NAIA. So, we have University of Pikeville and Lindsey Wilson and Kentucky Christian and Union, and then we also, we have we shoot against Texas A&M and UCLA and different, all over. I mean, I think there was 54 to 56 colleges / universities represented at our last outdoor nationals. So they come from all over. Almost every state's represented. So we get to see a lot more than others because we do have some local tournaments here that we see a lot of the schools that are close to us, and then some other ones we don't see until it's national title time.
Of course, what is that like, obviously, getting to face some of those teams like UCLA and Texas A&M versus facing teams like University of Pikeville?
The thing about archery is, you talked about different sports like football, of course, a smaller school going against a big school like an SEC type school, there's going to be some definitely some things that are going to be different. You're going to have bigger athletes and things like that. In archery, I believe we're all about the same. We're all equal. I mean, we're all, you shoot your own equipment and you're shooting the same distance and things like that. So, coming from a football background, if I was going to being at Cumberland and going to play University of Kentucky, there's probably going to be some size difference and some speed difference and some strength differences. But as far as in archery, we're all shooting bows and arrows. We're all shooting at the same distance. I don't think it really matters, what division you're at. It's just the type of athletes that you bring in. And, we recruit against all those schools. And of course, we battle it out with them. It doesn't matter where they are. We're trying to get the best athletes for us. So I don't think you see a huge difference like you do in other sports. So that would be the way I'd answer that.
Of course, what is that like, obviously, traveling to those competitions where you see those big teams like UCLA, Kentucky?
It's pretty neat. We've had an opportunity, especially since I've been here, to go all across the United States and even international. And I think over the last 12 years, I think we've shot in 3 times in the state of California. So we've actually shot in Long Beach. We've shot in Chula Vista twice. So going over there, we'll see a lot of West Coast schools, things like that, and you'll see, like I said, UC Irvine and UCLA and USC and Stanford and things like that. And then, we've had the opportunity to go to Yankton and of course down to Florida and Ohio and Georgia, and so it's really neat to see that, and especially in college archery. And a lot of people think everybody's got to be quiet when things are going on, but the college events are live. I mean, there's chants going on. They're supporting each other. They're rooting on their teammates, and so it's a really cool environment.
What is that like, obviously, getting to compete domestically? And like you said, you have competed internationally. So what is that experience like, going internationally to compete?
I've not competed, but I've actually got to coach internationally. It's different. You get to experience different cultures and eat different foods, and it's an experience that's unlike any other. I remember the first time in 2014, I was sitting there coaching in a medal match, and I think before I realized that it was halfway over because I was kind of enjoying the moment a little bit too much. But it's really neat. You get a chance to meet a lot of coaches from different countries and just and come together, and again, with having that USA on your back, it's really neat to know that you're representing the country.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for the archery program?
I believe it's ongoing, and one of the things, I not only care about what they do athletically, but I'm really proud of what they do academically. And that's one of the things that I tell kids when I'm recruiting them. We've won a lot of championships and a lot of national titles, and probably the thing that gives me the most joy is watching them walk across the stage at the end of the year. Especially early on, a lot of the kids that I brought in probably wouldn't have gone to college if it wasn't for having archery. And so that's kind of neat to get to see those kids get to experience something. And then, of course, the culture, one of the things, we really try to talk about teamwork. I had a senior this last year that really brought in, he wanted to start a leadership seminar. And the things that I want to leave the mark is, I want to get you out in the real world. I want you to, support yourself and to make it. So I want you to learn from those. So, you're always going to have rules. You're always going to have things in place. You're always going to have a boss and things like that. So I like to, see them, carry on and become successful. And like I said, it's not always holding hands and singing Kumbaya. You're always going to have issues, but we're able to handle those issues and move on to the next task at hand.
Can you talk about, of course, the championship that you have brought to UC Cumberland?
Yes, we've been very fortunate. We just previously won our 15th national title since we started. We were able to, a few years ago, to be recognized as a conference sport in the Mid-South Conference, and we've won 5 consecutive Mid-South Conference championships. It's been an incredible ride, and over the last 2 years, we've won 5 national titles, 5 straight national titles. So I'm proud of what my kids do. They know what they represent. They know the legacy that they want to leave. They know what's come before them, and I always tell them, it's kind of funny, but you have Cumberlands on your back, and you're definitely wearing a target on your back in archery. So, and they come to work every day, and they know that the senior class before them laid the groundwork, and they want to pick up that torch and keep carrying it. So we've been blessed over the years, and it just shows the dedication that my kids have that come into work every day, and they want to leave practice better than they came in.
Of course, what is that experience like getting to coach those national championship teams?
Every one of them special. I think I can remember every one of them and replay different times in those, and some were closer than others. And, just being able to do that, and for those kids to experience something that large. In my playing days, I, never was able to play for a national title or actually win one, but to be able to do that, and these aren't easy. They're tough on everybody every year. We've been very fortunate to win quite a few over the last few years, and that to know that the hard work that came in to produce those, and they don't happen every time, but it's an incredible. We get to spend the summers reflecting that, and then we know that as soon as August gets here, we got to change the focus and begin a new year again, because again, we're trying to accomplish what we accomplished the year before. So they're great. Can't say enough. Again, I think I told you this at the beginning, that to sit here and realize that we have 15 national titles and in the last 12 years is just unreal, and probably would have never wrote that down when I was in college to ever think that.
Of course, what does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to go into archery?
So, we recruit no different than any other sport. I just recently returned back from what they call a JOAD Nationals, which had 850 shooters from 21 years of old down. And we recruit events just like any other team, and evaluate their shots, evaluate their scores, and you can justify like a swimmer with their times or a track runner with their times, and then we bring them in on campus and, they'll practice with us and see if they're a good fit for our program and be able to be around some of our players and things like that. And, it's a process that never stops. As soon as we get done with the season, our 2023 class was finished up about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And as soon as that finished, we began starting to look for the 2024s. So you never stop, and you're continuing to look for better talent to make your team better. And one of the things that I always pride ourselves on is we compete internally, and iron sharpens iron. And so when you get to compete against some of these national titles and record holders and things like that every day, you get better as well too.
Of course, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes when going to those competitions?
Well, of course, you look at scores, but you also want to look at attitude, and you want to know what kind of grades that they have and that they're going to be able to not only compete for you, but also be able to walk across the stage and stay eligible. I mean, you don't want to be recruiting the same athlete every year in and year out because they can't stay eligible and things like that. And you also want to make sure that they're a good fit for the culture. You don't want to get certain times it's going to bring everybody else down. So it kind of becomes a balance. And then, they get to come and practice with us and see the team, and we'll be able to see how they interact and the team interacts with them. So, it's kind of a all big ball of wax. And the way I look at it is we're around each other a lot more than most sports because, football, you have football season in the fall, you get done December, have a off season, and then spring ball for 2 weeks in the spring. Well, we start practice from the first day of class in August, start competitions in September and October, all the way till 2 weeks after graduation, which is usually around May 22nd or 23rd. So we're around each other a long time. So you want to make sure that they're a good fit for the institution, they're a good fit for the team.
What does that official visit look like for those prospective student athletes coming to UC Cumberland to see the archery facility?
So, first off, we have them. We set up their visit, and they go to our admissions office. They usually have a counselor take them around on a campus tour. Sometimes we have certain students that have requested that come in. We might have them sit in a class. Like if you're coming in and you want to be a biology major, we might be able to get you in a biology class on that day. And then usually they come back from the tour, they sit down with an admissions counselor. The admissions counselor takes them through our online application if they haven't already completed it, and kind of talk through them that way. And then usually we come in, sometimes take them to lunch, bring them over to the facility, show them our indoor facility, our outdoor facility. And then typically after that, if they're close enough or they were able to bring their equipment, then they come out to practice with the team that day. So that's kind of how that process works.
As a head coach, what is that like, obviously seeing those freshmen put on that archery uniform for the first time versus your seniors putting it on for the last time?
Well, again, like I said, we get to compete so much, especially those seniors. I think I cry more and more each year, seeing those guys walk away because they mean so much to me, and they've worked hard, and I've got to see them develop, become into men and women, and now they're fathers and husbands and everything else. So that's an awesome experience. And then of course, we've been able to make a name for ourselves out there, and to see those first day when we have a media day, the first week of school, they get to put them on because a lot of the kids have been thinking about those kind of things and wanting to wear those colors. So it's really neat to get to experience that. But the one for me that's tough is that last competition, seeing those seniors walk away and knowing they won't wear that jersey again, and to know what they put into it. So I think senior day and the last tournament of the year gets harder and harder each year that I coach.
As a head coach in archery, what is it like seeing your athletes go on to represent Team USA or Canada and hopefully one day make it to the Olympics?
It has been awesome. I've had the opportunity to coach a lot of great athletes, and we've had some that have made it to the World University Games. We've had some make it to the Pan Am Games, the Junior Pan Am Games, and most recently got to one of our athletes got to won a gold medal at the World Championships. So the World Cups, I mean. So it's kind of awesome to get to see that. We've actually seen some make it to the largest stage in the finals in Vegas, and got to win pro events on the circuit. So to get there and see that, it's awesome. And then when you get to see where they came from, where they started, and how they've evolved, it's a pretty puts a nice warm feeling in your heart. So, but again, hopefully we'll get a chance to have one make the Olympics one day. But every other circuit we've had winners of pro events, and we've had winners of World Cups and youth championships and junior Pan Am games, and those things are pretty awesome to see, and sometimes get to experience it with them. So it's really cool to see how we've evolved over the years.
For those collegiate athletes looking to go play professionally archery, what process do they need to go through the pro circuit?
Um, a lot of places you have an opportunity to work up in your division, so it's kind of one of those you kind of earn your spot and things like that. And depending, some of them get sponsored, but a lot of them have worked their way. So on the ASA circuit, they started here in the lower divisions, one out, moved up, one out, moved up. I think we have three in the women's class this year in ASA that are shooting in the pro division. So that's really awesome to see. But it's just putting in the work and paying your dues and working through the process, and then getting a chance to shoot those tournaments and getting out there and getting spotlighted, and hopefully a bow company or sponsors will help pick them up and help them out along the way.
What are some of your future plans in the sport of archery for the program?
Just can continue to maintain our success. When I started this program, I didn't only want to start it for University of Cumberland. I wanted to see archery grow and archery grow in college. And we were the first college in the state of Kentucky to offer scholarships and have a program. And now some of the regional tournaments we host are the largest ones in the United States for collegiate. The only place West Coast has some larger tournaments than we do, but we're almost hosting tournaments locally here that have almost 200 college shooters at. So again, I've had the opportunity to help other colleges begin archery, start their programs, and just continue to see it grow. Archery is a wonderful sport. It's taught me a lot. Still teaches me a lot every day. I still think you have to keep your mind open and keep trying to learn each day. But just to continue to see it grow, continue to see more colleges join on. We have a good amount of colleges right now that are coming on. I think we have 3 or 4 that are within 3 to 4 hours of our campus right now that are beginning programs this fall. So those things are huge. And again, I think it's starting to get more recognition across the United States.
What advice would you give those collegiate freshmen entering their first year of college archery?
It's a different world, not only just shooting a bow, but also studies. So a lot of times I have to preach, college is not like high school. You're going to have to study a little bit more than you did in high school, and you're going to have to open those books and go to class. But it's just coming to work every day, bringing that attitude that nobody's going to outwork you, and you want to get better. And I think if you come with those attitudes and take care of your schoolwork, you're going to have a great career.
What advice would you give those college athletes that are in archery looking to go compete for Team USA or Canada and make the Olympics?
Don't let an opportunity pass you by, and have a open mind. You might not make every team, but don't give up on your dreams. Continue to work hard, and good things will happen to you. And we've been blessed here at the program to have a couple of our archers represent the United States, and it's been awesome to see. But keep fighting, keep working. There's going to be another right now. Archery's in the Summer Olympics, and they're talking about here soon having archery in the Winter Olympics too. So, going to be more opportunities for more medals, to make more games. So that's going to be something that's going to be pretty cool in the future.
What advice would you give those collegiate athletes that are looking to go on to that pro circuit of archery?
Um, Again, it's probably the biggest thing that I can tell them is, social media is your friend, and you gotta promote the products, you gotta promote yourself, and you really gotta do a job of getting yourself out there, because not only just going pro, but it's about getting sponsorships and being able to sell the products that you shoot and things like that. So there's a little bit more into it than just it's a lot different than the NFL and the MLB and things like that. And the majority of the pro shooters on the pro circuit have another job as well too. So, but just keep working at it, and hopefully good things will come to you.
What advice would you give those college coaches looking to get into this coaching in college archery?
Um, you know, Never stop learning. Uh, if I ever get stumped, I have some friends of mine that will help me out, and always keep an open mind. And trust me, there is colleges out there that are looking for coaches all the time. I think I've had in the last 3 or 4 months, I've heard about 4 or 5, and there's starting to be more and more opportunities for coaches in college, and that's something that's awesome to see. So stay on top of your game, but a lot of times you're also got to realize that it's not always everything in the coaching world is not always about wins and losses and X's and 10s and 12s. It's there's other things that go inside of coaching just besides the sport itself.
What advice would you give those college coaches looking to build their own program and start their own legacy as a college archery coach?
Um, just keep an open mind. Uh, you're we always and try not to get settled, and try to push the stakes in the envelopes every year. And hopefully you have the backing of your institution. I can't say enough about University of Cumberland for what our administration has done for us and our archery program and our athletics program and the facilities that they built. But those things don't happen overnight, and the things that we've been able to receive from our institution have come. It looks, but they've come at a time. It didn't all happen at once. So make sure you give yourself time, you give yourself opportunity to do that, and you're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes every day. So, we all make mistakes. So you're going to make mistakes, try to learn from those mistakes and move on.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the UC Cumberland's archery program at?
We have University of Cumberland's Archery on Facebook and Instagram. I think it's UC_archery on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We also have a TikTok that we do as well too. And then I'm Coach Strebeck, Coach_Strebeck on Instagram, and I also have a Facebook as well too. But we try to put out a lot of stuff. We don't do as much during the summer because it's a little bit downtime, but we try to do a lot on social media. especially Instagram and Facebook. And we just recently started a TikTok. So we haven't done as many of those, but they're always trying to get Coach to dance.
Thank you again, Coach Kris Strebeck, for your interview, and best luck in your future with the UC Cumberland's archery program as the head coach.
I appreciate it, Brandon. Thanks for having me on, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Kris, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.